He is a true inspiration on and off the ice. Joining me now to share more about his personal and professional journey is pro hockey player Josiah Slavin, forward on the Toronto Marlies hockey team. Welcome to 100 Huntley Street, Josiah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's our honor to have you today. Now, Josiah, take us back to your early years growing up. When you started to have a love of hockey, what was your family life like during that season?
Pretty busy. We had 4 kids, all playing hockey. My family actually had 5 kids. The little one, we couldn't put in hockey yet because we had 4 kids at 4 different rinks. So my parents were pretty busy driving the rest of us around. But our focus was always God first, and we always found a way to get to church on Saturday nights or Sunday mornings, whatever it was, whatever we had time for. So my parents definitely made that a driving force in our life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. An amazing family legacy and rich spiritual history for your family. When you were a bit older, at 17, you started to realize that, you didn't just inherit your family's faith, you had to make a decision to follow Jesus yourself. What brought you to that place? What was going on in your life at that time?
Yeah, so I accepted Jesus in my life when I was 5 years old, but I never really realized that having Jesus in your life was a relationship with God and not a religion. And I kind of piggybacked off of my family's relationship with God rather than having my own until I moved out on my own. And I went to play junior hockey in Kearney, Nebraska. And so I kind of learned to just have that relationship with God and hold myself accountable to read my Bible, go to church and pray every day. And that was something that God kind of taught me through living on my own.
And it was when you were playing in Kearney, Nebraska, you were playing for the Tri-City Storms, and you and another player started to make a very public confession of your faith. What were you guys doing?
Yeah, so we would go to center ice after every single game, and we would pray at center ice. And it wasn't for the fans, wasn't for anything, but just giving God the glory and just thanking him for the opportunity to play this wonderful game of hockey. And so me and him, we had a mentor. His name was Gary Steffes, and he would lead our Bible studies through Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And he did that when he played pro hockey. And so it kind of encouraged us to start that as well.
Did you find that people started to join you after the games at center ice to pray? Or was that something you and your friend did on your own for quite some time?
At the beginning of the year, it was kind of just us two. But then as the year went on, more and more guys kind of saw what we were doing. And if they had some faith of their own, they'd ask if they could join us. And so we'd just welcome them with open arms if they wanted to join.
And did you get any negative feedback from anyone around you praying at center ice?
Yeah, so the next year I was traded to Lincoln. And I did it by myself after the first game in Lincoln. And there was actually a fan that complained about me praying at center ice. And it was kind of when the Colin Kaepernick stuff was going on, and they compared it to kneeling during the anthem with him. And obviously has no correlation. But luckily I had coaches of faith at that time in Lincoln, and they said that they supported me in whatever decision I wanted to make.
That's so beautiful to be supported on that journey. I think one of the realities is that, hockey culture is not always supportive of faith values. We know that there is lots of partying in that culture, as well as probably profanity, things like that happening in the locker rooms. What has it been like for you to live in that tension as a person who's following Jesus, but maybe surrounded by ideas and practices and behaviors that aren't biblical?
Yeah, I mean, I try to just not take part in those types of situations as much as I can. And the biggest thing is when your teammates are doing stuff like that, you're there to serve them. Christ came down to this earth to serve sinners as well. And I myself am a sinner, but I'm going to do my best to serve others. And so like when they're going out and partying and stuff or doing whatever, I'll do my best to be a designated driver, things like that. So just ways to keep them safe and serve them.
Well, you're definitely being such a bright light in places that can become dark and can be opposite of Christian values and ideas of how to live in the world. Josiah, it's incredible when I think about, how young you are and how bold you are in your faith. Are there Bible verses that you really stand on and that shape your identity and who you are?
Yeah, I think the biggest one that shaped kind of my career and my life is Proverbs 3:5-6. And it's just about trusting God and acknowledging Him in all your ways. And I try to do that as best I can in my career, and kind of trust that He's going to lead me down the path that He wants me to take.
And Josiah, after you finished up your time at the Lincoln Stars, you moved on, and eventually you were playing for the Chicago Blackhawks in the NHL. Were you then also going out to center ice to pray after the games?
Yeah, so it was a little bit more nerve-wracking then because it's kind of on a bigger stage and there's more people that could be upset with it. But God really convicted my heart that that's something that I needed to stick to and something that I needed to remain faithful in. And so I was kind of told not to do it at the pro level, but I ultimately just decided to follow the conviction of that God put on my heart. And so after every home game, whether I was in Rockford or Chicago, I would go out and pray at center ice after the game and just give the glory to Him.
Well, it is quite a legacy that you're creating, and I know it's just out of a heart wanting to bring glory to God and be obedient to, glorifying who God is above ourselves and above our skills or abilities. One of the interesting things that you discovered on a social media platform is that the Lincoln Stars continue to do the tradition of going out to pray after games on center ice. And it's actually quite a huge lineup of people now. Tell us a bit more about that.
I don't know if they still do it to this day, but after I left the Lincoln Stars, when I was there, I think about 4 or 5 guys would come out and pray at center ice with me after games. But I ended up getting traded to Chicago Steel my second year in Lincoln for a playoff run. And after I left, the guys kind of continued it. And then the next year I was at Colorado College and I was getting tagged and stuff on Twitter of all these pictures of the Lincoln Stars still praying at center ice. And it wasn't just a couple of guys, it was actually the whole team. And it just kind of became a thing that they did. And it was a really proud moment just to see the work that the guys put in after me.
Oh, it's incredible. Josiah, it's so amazing. It's like a mustard seed of faith that blossoms, and the impact you're having and the witness that has been to so many people. Josiah, I know that it's not always easy practicing your faith in the world of hockey. And sometimes even when you're playing, there are teammates who will use your faith against you and you've experienced some persecution. What are some of those moments like?
Those moments, I try not to take it too personally. I mean, in the game of hockey, whether it's the other team, they're just kind of out to get you. But I try to do my best just to show them love and just kind of think in that moment, what would Jesus do? And so that's kind of how I handle those situations.
Yes, yes. And you're now playing for the Toronto Marlies, which I'm very excited about because I'm a huge Toronto Maple Leafs and Toronto Marlies fan. How have you enjoyed being on the Toronto Marlies? What's this experience been like for you?
It's been amazing. There's no organization like the Toronto Maple Leafs organization, and it stems down to the Toronto Marlies organization as well. You get treated better than probably any other organization. And it's incredible the people that they have there. It's probably one of the best group of guys I've ever been around, and the staff as well. It's just, I have no bad things to say about it.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Just in a program we recently did, we got to interview and speak with the chaplain of the Toronto Marlies, Jeff Jackson, and you're probably familiar with him. What kind of impact has he had in your life?
He's had a great impact. He was actually he was the first chaplain to run chapels in my pro career. And as soon as I got to Toronto, I know, so chapels in hockey are ran through a organization called HMI, Hockey Ministries International. And so Jeff works with them, and I know someone who's pretty high up in HMI. His name's Alex Pyrus. And so as soon as I signed with Toronto, I said, Alex, who's the chaplain for the Toronto Marlies, and so he gave me his number, and I got connected with him right away. And the first thing I did when I got there was just try to set up chapels for this team, and it was a really good year for chapels. I think we had 9 to 10 guys come almost every chapel, and so it was really awesome to see, because you don't see that a lot in pro hockey.
That's incredible. Very inspiring, Josiah. Bruno, we're so excited for who you are, for your career, as well as the witness you are for Jesus in your life, both professionally and personally. You are married and have a little baby on the way. You must be so excited about that.
Yes, we are excited. Just trying to be as patient as we can, waiting for that special day to come.
That's right. Well, I know that's just around the corner, coming up the end of May, where your little one is due. But as you think about your little one and you think about the next generation and even young athletes watching right now who are on their way to serving God in sports arenas and different spheres connected to their athletic ability, what words of encouragement do you have for them?
I would just say to just do your best to just serve others, and just be a light for God and your teammates and other people's lives, just because you never know who it's going to impact. I've had people who have messaged me like 2 or 3 years after interacting with me saying, thank you for being such a light in my life. I've turned my life to the Lord. And so you never know what impact you're going to have on other people's lives. And it's all God. You just start it and God finishes it. God puts it on their heart. But he needs us to kind of start that process in their lives.
Well, Josiah, thank you so much for encouraging so many of us to be a witness for who God is and to share Jesus at every turn. You are such a bright light in the world of hockey and in Canada. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.